order at 10:06. I'll go across the board here. Present are Bill McGowan, Lisa McGonigal, Dan Coughlin, and Wayne Sawchuk. And we have Brian and Scott as guests. So let's see. Let's see what our next meeting will be here. Mm.
26th?
Yeah, looks like about that, right?
Tuesday.
Is that right now? Is that all right for everybody?
Yep.
Did you say the 26th?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tuesday.
So just to bring everybody up, I was checking out the selectmen's agenda for tonight, and the sewer commission is on two subjects. One is us looking for a replacement for John Beck, and the second is I think they're doing an update on the HSD study and all of that. So I know I'll be looking in, and I'm presuming Wayne will be as well. But that's going on that. Unfortunately, we haven't found anybody yet on the candidate side. You would have thought there'd be a rush to the door for people wanting to join the sewer commission, but the high pay and benefits, I guess, aren't there. So anyway, we'll march on. So as far as easements, I think I haven't had a chance, Lisa, to look at the proof, but I presume it's pretty close to what we had looked at before.
Yeah, it looks good. I can put it up if you want.
Yeah, why not?
Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. Can anybody see that?
Oh yeah, yep.
So that first page, that first little square is where the recipient will go in black ink.
Okay.
And there's the body of it on the other side.
It'll be on a yellow card.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
And he has all the, recipients. And he actually sent that to me in a we share or something like that, we file.
Oh yeah.
So I do have that.
And he's mailing. We're not going to do anything. I mean, he's going to be mailing everything out, right?
Correct.
Okay.
That good?
Yep, I'm good. I'm good.
Good with me.
Let me get back over there. Let's see. Oh dear. Stop. There we go.
Do we lose Rod?
No.
Who?
I'm still here, as far as I know.
No, I don't see you on anything here. So. Okay. All right, Lisa, why don't we push the budget to the bottom and go right to some of the sewer connections and any other business, and we can cut Scott loose and then talk budgets and stuff.
Well, did you want, though, Dawn to be on the call with budgets?
You know,
I mean, I'm sorry, Rob, because Dawn's waiting for a call from
right,
us.
but Rob can't be on until like later on, right? Like, towards
Right.
the end of it, yeah.
He's not sure if he's even gonna get on, so
Oh, okay.
Okay.
there's,
What we wanted to do, obviously, is get a idea based sort of on what you think we need in the next fiscal year, capital-wise, that are, you know, must-have type things, so that we can.
okay, all right.
Oh, wait, let's just hang on a second. Let's
Yep.
do the sewer connections you mentioned first, right?
We can do that, yeah, but I'm just.
That's fine.
Well, it's up to you. I can call Dawn right now, see if he's available.
I don't know if we need Don. I think we can get through this stuff. I have a couple of questions that we can pose to Don and then
Oh, okay.
get answers later. I don't think we need him. I mean, unless, Wayne, you've got specific stuff you want to go with him on.
No, I just wanted to, with Scott telling us if there's anything that isn't on your list today that you think might be coming up in the next, you know, starting July 1st for the next year, we'd like to sort of know about them so that we could, you know, put money there, or we could, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing going forward is going to be the sludge thickener.
Okay.
I don't know if Rob has that on there or not. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry. But
I think I've seen it. I just don't know where the priority is on it.
So that's going to be priority one going into the next fiscal year for sure.
Okay.
That's aging and that's going to be the biggest capital thing we have going next budget for sure.
How big is that? The $250,000 gizmo?
Well, that was the original thought. Yes. Now we've gotten it down. We're like, last time I talked to him was around like 150.
Oh.
140, 150 ish neighborhood.
Okay. And that's sort of an install price, or is that just for the device?
I was under the understanding that was the whole thing. That was to buy it and have them come in and install it, because they'll be installing it.
Right. Okay. And then everything else that we've approved, that'll be done between now and June, we basically already got that in the hopper for the doors, the blowers, all that kind of stuff.
Yes and no. So the three things that we had talked about earlier were the doors, the silencers for the blowers,
Yep.
and the grit screw. So the silencers have been purchased and will be installed. Those are good. We have them here. They're going to be installed Thursday. The doors were still in the same pattern. I had Invernizzi. They gave me a new quote. I forwarded you guys a new quote. I called them back once a week since then. Just no interest in coming out here and doing the work. There's zero. He said he'll get back to me as soon as he can. They want to do it, but he'll get back to me. This has been years. So I don't really think he's really interested in doing the doors, even though he gave us a huge number to do it. And we said, okay, let's do it. He still doesn't have the interest in coming out. So the doors were still in a holding pattern on. And then we had the grit screw. So since the grit screw, you guys had a preliminary approval of the $25,000 was just to purchase it. And that was with no install, and we didn't know a price for install. Since then, we have had something come up with our main blowers, where we need to service our blowers. We have one blower right now that the bearing is bad on. So I guess what I'm asking, what I would like to do is, we have a quote. I can forward it to you. I don't know if I forwarded it to Lisa. We can have the factory manufacturer come down. It's about $14,000. He's going to replace both bearings on all three blowers, along with the seals on all three of our main blowers. And unfortunately, that's probably the most high priority thing, because we need the air for everything that we do. So with that being said, I really want to get the grit screw done, but I think that the blowers are, to me, are much more important than the grit screw, and those can be done very soon. I think the grit screw is going to be something that is going to take a little bit longer. We still got to figure out who's going to install it, and and all that, and a price for install. So I guess my long story short is I'm asking if it's possible, we get the approval to have these blowers fixed, and we will kind of, maybe we back off on the grit screw, maybe we add it to next year's fiscal, capital, or we, we cross that bridge when we get to it, because I still, like I said, got to find someone to put it in.
Will the grit screw last until, for another 6 months?
The grit screw is not working right now, Bill, at all. It hasn't been working. We're manually, when we need to, we take it down, we manually empty all the grit by hand. So it's not an ideal situation, but the blowers are like super, super important right now.
Right. I recommend that we go ahead and approve the transfer, use the money for that, so that it is done quickly.
Okay, do you want to make a motion or just vote on it right here?
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the transfer or the use of up to $20,000 to repair and fix up the blowers.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Okay. So that's, yeah, and they're ready to go. Like I said, all I needed was your approval. I'm going to get the PO today. They'll probably be out within a week or so to have that. So thank you. That'll be done.
So is one just dead right now, not working?
Well, we're getting a burning smell from the bearing, so we just shut it down. I'm just not using it. But again, with these new membranes, we were requiring to use all 3 blowers. So right now we're supplementing with our supplemental blowers. We're using 2, and we're using a supplemental blower to get by until we get these fixed.
How are we doing generally with the membranes in the plant? Everything else working all right?
Knock on wood, things are working very well. We just completed December. We just completed the cleaning of side 1. We ordered by the end of January, we'll have side 2 cleaned. But things are really well with them, producing like as expected, everything as expected right now.
Okay.
I have one concern based on sort of looking at the year in review a little bit, and that is the situation with I getting in after every rainstorm. And it's getting to a point where it's increasing our average flows dramatically. And, we've got to do, I guess, between Dan and you, tell me what we can do to locate where these flows are coming from and how they're getting into the system. Because I expected, doing the work through the meadow and all that stuff with all the sealing, all the manhole covers and stuff, that we would see a significant decline in these weather-related events because of the flooding and things like that happen in the marsh. So either Dan or you.
Yeah, I mean, we
do to do
if you recall the CCTV that we did a couple of years back. I mean, we did identify areas that needed to have improvements. Some of it was manhole work, some of it was line work. I mean, basically, we have an outline and a plan set, an overall plan set that details that. We just need to put it out to bid, have money to fund it. We had talked about, upwards of around $300,000 for that project.
Is it worth it to us today to go ahead and film the areas that were of concern then and compare to see if there's anything that has drastically changed, and then in fact for next year put in that money? Because I think that we're going to get to a point where, as we look at development and stuff that's going to happen, is we're going to get to a point where there isn't going to be any more capacity allowed because of how these averages and stuff work out. I mean, when the flow get up to 700,000 gallons on December 1st to 2nd in that area, and then another time way up there too, and only having a couple of inches of rain, it's something's wrong, and we've got to.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at that data too and saw it was more of a direct response to the rainfall.
Yeah.
We really hadn't seen previously, so it's like something is ajar, or something has gone reverse. It's probably not too bad to do CCTV. There's some contractors out there, in fact, the one who worked in town last time, can affordably do a lot of work in a short period of time. It might cost you $10,000, $12,000, you know, to do that. It was basically inland waters. I don't think you used them. You might have been around when they did it, Scott.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, they did a very good job. They have good camera work too. I mean, we can certainly target the areas that we know we had problems, but this does seem like a direct response. You know,
And yet they
short of,
get it right down. So whatever the response is, it must be happening almost while the rain is coming down, like, or something, because otherwise there'd be a gradual.
yep. Generally, that's an inflow. And a lot of the time you can get it through the manhole covers, the rims, the risers. Those are the things that are most leaky, you know, for a direct response for inflow. A lot of the other stuff has a time delay factor, and there's a little bit of delay, but it still seems like a you know, a direct response to rainfall that I'm looking at over the last couple of DMRs.
Yeah, Wayne and Dan, I think, you know, if you go to CCTV, you're kind of subject to the weather conditions on that day and whatever might be happening with the groundwater table. And it's like, to Wayne's point, you might not be capturing the issue. We have 3 of the main sewers that come into the wet well structure before the plant. I wonder if we should just make the small capital investment of putting, you know, getting 3 master meters on each of those 3 trunk lines and trending them over a period. You get all types of weather, and then you can see which of the 3 are the contribution, you know, contributing relative to rain weather, and then you could follow it upstream. And you know, they sell those manhole covers that have kind of a level transducer, and you can see, you know, it's not something that's a heavy installation as far as capital. It's basically a manhole cover that shoots down and shows the level of water at each structure. I think that might be a better bang for the buck in trying to find where the I&I is.
Are you talking about permanent installations, Brian?
So they have temporary, like, manhole covers that have transducer.
You need you still have to install a primary flow device in the bottom so you can calibrate the elevation to a flow though?
You'd have to do some calibration with the actual meter based on the dimensions of the manhole and things like that. But I know there's mobile ones that could be kind of moved around the system. It depends on, you know, the manhole cover. You have 18, 24, whatever it might be. But I think some sort of flow measurement on split up the 3 trunks. At least you got, it's coming from this 30% of the sewer system, and it's not just arbitrarily trying to find a needle in the haystack with a CCTV.
Yeah, I mean, my only reluctance there is, you know, last time we did do that, we did do flow monitoring in the system. It was from everywhere. So you weren't just seeing it from one leg. Although, like I said, this direct response could be essentially one leg.
So we have that data. I didn't know we had flow data from around the system.
Yeah, it's basically maybe 2004 era, 2005 era. So, I mean, you could certainly do that again, but you're going to spend a good amount of money just doing that. It's true that the CCTV, if it's not during a high groundwater period or you know, around a wet weather event, you're not going to see direct inflow, but you could see other things. You could see the cracking, you can see the staining. A lot of times you'll still see runners of flow coming in. It's just, you know, how fast do you want to really evaluate it in terms of putting together a response. When you do flow monitoring, you typically leave them in there for anywhere between 2 and 3 months to get a good trend. And obviously the springtime is a good time, so it's a good time to plan for that if you wanted to. But then you'll also would follow up with some type of CCTV or inspection to try to figure out where that flow is.
Right. I think my point is, I think if you're going to make a capital, instead of just tiring out meters, like, you know, buy some meters that we can move around to different manholes. And once you pinpoint to a large geographic area, then you can go in with CCTV and try to, you know, get the culprit.
What do these meters cost? What do these meters cost?
So a couple of grand, depending on the complexity, but I can
About $4,000.
I'll get some numbers and I can.
So the question I have, which might be a little bit naive, and to Scott, when you're testing stuff, do you ever pick up any salt water?
We wouldn't know. We wouldn't really test for that. We wouldn't.
Can we? I mean,
yeah, we can do.
Driving the
yes.
other day. I mean, driving the other day, the amount of water that was, you know, it looked like it was going in, you know, on Margin Street and a few other places.
Oh, absolutely. Right by the Atlantica there.
Yeah.
The Atlantica, right by the hotel there. It crashes over that manhole specifically is underwater every single time we get a lot of rain.
So,
Guaranteed.
but also
guaranteed.
high, yeah.
And high tide, correct. You know, so yeah, absolutely. There's definitely salt water coming in, that's for sure.
But I mean, the reason I'm bringing it up is I read an article or yesterday that the city of Boston is going after some federal grant to assist just this, because they're estimating in 2050 or 2070 that a lot of the areas that are along the waterfront will be permanently underwater.
Yeah.
So, and how they're going to try to mitigate that. So that's just a thought. I mean, I sort of, and Wayne, I'd like to hear your opinion. I'm sort of thinking that if we had meters that we could move around and leave them for a while, that might be a good idea. But I also think that we should, I think my gut is that, you know, we haven't had a lot of rain, and that water is going to be coming from somewhere. And
But it's coming, Bill, it really is. It's going into the plant when we do have rain, and it's not going into the plant when we don't have rain.
no, I get it. Yeah, but
And that's the part that bothers me. I'm almost thinking that if the next time it rains and there's an inch of water and the plant starts seeing a lot of water, I'd like to have someone at the plant go out and look at those 3 manholes, you know, physically, just take the covers off and see if, you know, see what if there's one of them that's the most. And then if you've got to go up Pleasant Street or do something like that and try to cut down and see where it's going, you almost want to follow the flows to get an idea of something that might be so basic that, for instance, like you talked about Atlantica, there's 2 manhole covers that belong to Atlantica, and they're not waterproof. You know, they're there, and one acts as a grease trap or something that's bringing the water, you know, right into our system. And in my opinion, maybe there should be a little bit of enforcement on, listen, this is not right. You can't have this parking lot water going into your tank to go into our sewer. And so, you know, some of this can be found out in terms of going out with your raincoat on and doing a little search.
And Wayne, didn't we approach Atlantica like years ago about just that? If they had to put a waterproof manhole on their system? I vaguely remember it.
Brian knows when we were doing it, it's like that we didn't, you know, it's almost like we got an injured tenant there. You don't sort of want to maybe put burdens on them, but something has to be done. You know,
So we did the 10 manhole covers when we paved Border Street, and then Wayne points out that the 2 that are private right inside of the front door of Atlantica were not addressed because they're not ours. But we popped them, and they needed even more than a waterproof manhole.
we need a new manhole.
Yeah, I mean, you look in the structure and there's, you know, one of them almost looks like an old cesspool. It's just kind of loose blocks. So any groundwater or anything in there is going to be just going in. So it's
Wonderful.
It's manhole and structure, I think, improvements. But you know, this whole you know, harbor I think is tied to a bunch of different areas. Margin Street, we just fixed a manhole on a stormwater basin on Margin Street, and found a lot of tidal influence in the storm drain. traced it back out to the seawall. And we have a new, we're going to be doing seawall work out there in the next month or two. So, you know, a new tide flex valve and putting that barrier in there, hopefully will stop infiltration in that area, which might be going into the ground and into the sewer, but you don't really know. The other thing, before I forget, because we're kind of on the subject of capital, unrelated, South Main Street, I just want to put that out there that you should start thinking about at least designs for South Main Street, because you know, we have a 20-year road improvement plan, and South Main Street was supposed to be paved this past summer. It's been kicked down the road because of the whole regional discussion and other, you know, discussions, which we still don't have a resolution on. But the common denominator in all those discussions is the sewer commission wants to do South Main Street. You know, it's part of a priority area in every scenario. So maybe we should get the design done at least, or get funding for the design, and then have it ready to bid so that we can get that road paved, because the gas was just done. So all the utilities out there are ready to go for paving, but we're not paving and then have sewer come down and dig up the road, you know, a couple of years later.
And Brian, aren't we sort of under, you know, we're basically, I guess for lack of a better term, we're being held by the HSD study, right? Until that comes out and the select board votes on it, we really can't do anything?
No, I mean, I think it's independent. I'm just saying the subject of this part of the agenda is just capital budgeting. And I think, you know, right now you're capital budgeting from July 21 to July 22. And in that period, South Main Street's going to continue to fall apart. We should be getting the sewer.
No, I agree with you. I just, you know, and I just got the impression that, you know, as far as any work on that area, we were sort of asked to stand down until the study was prepared.
You had already allocated $20,000 for us to do the preliminary design on that. And we basically put that on hold as part of that recent study. But, you know, we were still waiting on the topo too. We needed to get the town topo, the 1-foot contours, in order to develop the plan set. So Brian, you had to release that for us to continue too.
So the funding is in place? Is that?
Yeah, I think we
was for preliminary funding. We had estimated a little bit higher for final plans and specifications, but maybe that's enough for now to proceed with. And that way, you know, you can go back to town meeting for additional money, or funded through a different mechanism, the final plan and specification documents. But the bottom line is you still have a lot of other things in play, but at least you'd have a preliminary design at that point.
Right.
And we can
I think we have the $20,000 available now. So and Dan has already done everything he can do without wasting money on getting your own topo when the town has the topo maps, as well as showing the catch basins and all the rest of the utilities there to sort of help us out instead of.
Yeah. So I mean, this brings up a different point. It's kind of the subject of getting a scope of work with a defined deliverable and a price point, and then the commission voting on it for Dan to proceed, not just saying, "Get 20,000, go ahead."
Yeah, I gave them a scope and they already did that.
Okay, so I think let's rejuvenate that, pass it around, and then, yeah, I think we're good. You guys can vote on it. We're good to go.
So, Brian, on the same thing, do you know any where we are with this HSD study, or is that going to be surfaced tonight?
So GHD, he's met with all the individual stakeholders. I think he had a good conversation with Dan as well. So he's met with the larger group, which you were part of. He met with you guys individually, the planning board folks individually, Board of Health, and I think that's it. And he's got the meeting minutes from each of those. The next step is to bring all those groups back together, and he was going to go through all of the items that he brought up and talk about the final, I guess, format of the deliverable decision matrix. And so the next step is to is to convene a meeting of all the parties. So it was one of the things I was going to bring up a little later is what's your availability? We're thinking in the next week or the week after for maybe a 7 p.m. nighttime meeting.
Any day for me.
Yeah, I've got calls. I don't know if you're planning on doing it tomorrow. I have a call on Thursday night at 7, and I think one next week. Other than that, I'm pretty free.
Okay. All right. So we're getting everyone's availability, and that'll be forthcoming. But really the agenda item, I think, in the selectmen is just that you know, he's met individually and gotten everyone's feedback from all the stakeholders, and now we're going to bring all the stakeholders again into a group meeting and talk about the final deliverable.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, I kind of went South Main Street when you guys were talking around the harbor, but
Yeah, no problem.
No, it's,
If I could just jump in, I just wanted to comment on something, you know, Wayne was talking about with the, you know, the flow and looking at that manhole. I think it would be a great idea if we did have those meters on those lines first, getting some type of baseline, because the amount of flow coming through those, we can certainly look inside, but those things flow so rapidly at that point. Even if I think even if the flow was doubled coming through, it's going to be tough to tell. Like, there's more flow coming through that pipe now that it's raining, because just the where they all meet is you know, it's just going to get tough to determine. I think just by looking at it, hey, there's more flow today than there was yesterday, just by sight, just with it being so far down and with all the rain coming, all the flow coming in. It's not like any of them just have a little trickle. They all flow pretty good. So I think if we really wanted to see what was going on, the best bet would be to get some meter in there, get some baseline numbers saying, hey, normal flow, regular day, this is what we see out of the 3 lines. Just going from that. And my other comment was, you know, I know the flows have been really high. Keep in mind, I know, Bill, you said we haven't had a lot of rain. We've recorded 15 inches of rain in the last 3 months, which is, I mean, I know it's a rainy.
I was only talking about yesterday.
Okay, yeah. You know, so, you know, with it being cold, the ground's frozen, the water's got nowhere to go. It's not getting absorbed by anything right now. So there are multiple factors, but yes, I&I is absolutely contributing, and, you know, so.
Yeah, generally the only way you're going to see that flow differential is basically if you go at night, you know, between 12 and 6 a.m. and you're in the middle of a rainstorm.
Correct.
All right. Now, I have a question is, do you go ahead and you buy 3 monitors here? Do you go ahead and do something like have the intake from Margin Street and all that area there, the harbor front, put one there and then put one on the corner of Margin Street and the other one over by the Legion Hall or something, and isolate so that in fact you could find out whether or not this heavier flow is coming from this area or that area and stuff, rather than having the 3 units, as Brian suggests, for the 3 main things coming in, pipes coming in. So, and I guess if you go ahead and buy them, you could do the first for a couple of months and then you could start moving them around to see if you can get the flows.
I think we could strategically place them, you know, where we wanted with some type of ease to, you know, to monitor different spots. I think that's feasible for sure.
I mean, just so you know, this is a confined space entry. It typically requires either a primary flow device installed in the bottom of the manhole or, you know, some type of Doppler ultrasonic probe mounted within the pipe itself. So there is some installation required there, confined space entry. So there is some cost installed in there.
Mm-hmm.
The rentals on the units, you can rent these as well. They have them for rental. So if you're not going to do a lot of this work, you could do that as well. And that way it's, you know, if anything goes wrong with the probe, they just replace it. So there's a bunch of different options that you have available to you. And there's firms out there that do this type of work on a regular basis. So,
Right.
Could you find a little more information and give us some sort of a estimate on?
we can get some
satisfying and stuff. And let's
Get some
let's
current
get
costs.
Yeah, you know, with all the boards for the year, my point is just if the commission or department buys these devices and uses them on their own, you know, we've been spending I&I money throughout the years without, here we are still talking about the same thing. We could strategically kind of do the installation and data analysis or have Woodard and Kern do it. You know, who knows what you might use it for in a couple of years. It could be something up on the middle of town looking for an illegal connection or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's a
Rent them to
worthwhile
another town.
investment.
Okay.
So thank you for going along with that.
So, do we want to go to sewer connections, or are we done with I&I and everything?
I think we're pretty good. Is there any other capital expenses that either Dan is aware of? And I think Woodward and Curran seems to have the, you know, through the whole list that they have, we can get what we need to spend.
Is
Yeah.
the building envelope okay these days, Scott?
I'm sorry?
Building envelope, is that okay except for the doors?
Except for the doors, yep. You know, again, ventilation is all about ventilation there. That's probably something, you know, we're gonna have to look at sooner rather than later. I am, you know, lucky enough right now, I can run it right now, running it on low, get a little ventilation in there. It's not bothering anybody, noise-wise. Again, running it during the day, shutting it off at night, so it's no issues. But that would be the only other thing, you know, other than the doors, the building's pretty okay. But
Yeah. The silencers on the blowers, you think that was part of the noise issue?
it contributed. It wasn't the sole reason. You know, we had a little grit blower issue. We had all the blowers going at one point, so a lot of vibration going on up there. So the silencers will certainly help for sure.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we can run the ventilation a little bit more now that once the silencers are in place.
Again, we can certainly try. I mean, Joe is very good about letting me know on the side if it's too much noise. So I see him almost daily now.
That's good.
Don't talk to him every day, but I do see him every day walking. So he will let me know if there's a problem.
Okay.
Okay. Should we do sewer connections?
Or an abatement. I have Patrick Kennedy in waiting to talk about the abatement that I had sent to you guys yesterday. Do you want to do that first?
I haven't seen it. Let me see if I can have it here.
I just submitted it over the weekend. If you guys haven't looked at it, then you may want to table it to another meeting and spend time looking at it. It's really at your discretion.
Are we waiting?
I'm just pulling up the abatement. So Patrick, this was a water leak. Is that what I'm reading?
I'm sorry, yes, we didn't know about the water leak until we got a bill. See the bill. It's a bathroom that's way in the bathroom that my son used when he lived here, way in the back of his house.
And you had somebody do the work on it?
Yeah.
Can you send us a copy of that?
Yeah. Yep. Summer is coming in again next week to do some other work. I want to look at that and a couple of things. We were going to have a dishwasher put in, but I don't think we're going to have that. So.
Okay, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but
It was just me.
yeah, if you can send us the bill, I think, I mean, it looks pretty straightforward. Wayne, what do you think?
I don't have it in front of me, but
Oh,
I sent it by email yesterday.
it says abatement request for tomorrow's meeting. Hi. So I got that. It just came in and it tells me 4,700 cubic feet versus $466, but it doesn't. Oh, I have a PDF on the bottom. Hang on. I'm sorry.
and Lisa, do we have, oh, here we do. Okay, I just had to go back down. So what is what are you looking to be abated, Patrick?
It comes out to $446.97.
So basically the difference between the 642 and the 204?
Yeah.
The excess, the difference between the water used in that quarterly period minus the average over the last 4 quarters. To me, that seems like a fair way of doing it. What's the average use over a year versus the excess use in that quarter?
Right, I might be missing this, but I don't see what amount of money you're actually looking for. I see that you're looking for the 4,700 cubic feet.
Your form didn't give me the necessary numbers to do math. Form asked for the cubic feet. That's what I gave you.
Right. So, Bill, I calculated it out to be $446.90.
Oh, right, okay. Because I'm looking at between the 803 number of 204 and the 1102 of 642. It comes out pretty close.
So, and also what I did was, I took the last 4 quarters and averaged it and then deducted it. By doing it that way, it came out to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
But basically the 4,700 with the calculation of multiplying by 951. Comes out to be 446.97.
If the water goes into the sewer, we don't usually abate the bill for the water going into the sewer, even if it's a leak in a fixture or something like that. So I'm not, in other words, it is if you were using the water to, other circumstances. I don't know. Bill
and Wayne, we're not looking to have any special treatment here. Just treat us the way you would treat any person who submits it. I originally filled out the form and submitted it to the Water Commission, the Water Commissioners through Brenda, and she forwarded me the form and copied Lisa and said you can also submit through sewer. Obviously, the usage on sewer is another substantial portion of the quarterly water bill.
Right. Did they give you an abatement? Did the water department give you an abatement on the water?
They had. I just submitted both requests and forms last Friday. I think it was Friday afternoon or over the weekend. Friday afternoon. So I have not been contacted by Brenda about when they might put it on their agenda or whatnot. We haven't been before the Water Commission. So you got, Lisa just emailed me, I guess yesterday or so, and said, if you want to sit in on this meeting, it might come up under other business. And that's the only reason I joined the meeting.
So Wayne, I believe the next Water Commission meeting is next week, but I did speak with Brenda, and she did say that they very rarely give water abatements, but I don't know.
Well, I'm sort of getting this, yesterday or today, and I'm just sort of thinking out loud here. So I'm not sure we can support the abatement, but I'm curious to see if the water department does. If the water department does,
Yeah, I'm sort of, I mean, if the water department does it and, we see a bill for the repair, I mean. So Patrick, are you on their agenda? Have you called them to get on their agenda? No? Okay.
I haven't been contacted by Brenda about getting on their agenda. So I haven't heard one way or the other.
I think you've kind of used a one strike policy. In other words, you grant it the first time, but after that, you don't.
well, you can't. I mean, I don't. I'm happy to do whatever the board wants to do, but I'm just I don't know if you do this and then there's something else that happens that's another leak or something else like that, then I don't know, what is the what's the policy really of the town, and as well as the water department and the sewer department, stuff like that. Can we just put it on the agenda for the next meeting and sort of see what we want to do?
That's fine with me.
You got an invoice for the repair?
Yeah, get an invoice. But this all went through, this didn't leak anywhere except into the toilet and go into the sewer system. Is that right, Patrick?
Yes, that's I originally thought that it was related to a water meter failure because we had a burst water meter that was leaking underneath our house back in the summer, but it turns out that was a failure of the water meter by the town's installation of a water meter some number of years ago. The water department came out, looked at it, and they replaced it. It was on their side. But Brenda said no, that had been replaced before this quarter. So.
All right. Why don't we do that? Why don't we put it on the next agenda, and then if you can get a determination from water before that and let us know.
Okay, will do.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Stay well.
Do we have anything?
Well, we have sewer connections we want to go through. And
Okay.
then then go over some of the finances for a bit. So.
Yeah, I just didn't know if Rod wants to stay on or whether we're going to talk any more about the abatements or the easements or anything like that. I mean, the easements.
I don't think so. I think we're done with that, right? We don't have, once the cards go out, it's just waiting for it.
The other thing is about billing people that have not paid for sewer.
Oh, yeah.
And billing people that have not paid for grinder pumps.
Yep. And that is a Rod question.
Yeah, so, all right. Well, just do that and then.
That's fine.
And
Yep.
Okay.
So where do we stand?
I guess how far back can we go for these folks who have not paid anything?
Well, we can go back as far as the statute of limitations for contract claims, which is 6 years.
Okay. And
in
because I
my
know-
experience,
Yeah.
we don't go, municipalities typically don't go back that far. But
So
year or something like that.
since I know some of the guys on the list, or at least two of them, how, I guess the question is, if they have not been getting a bill, are they, legally, are they still liable, or are they still responsible for paying it?
Yeah, I mean, they have.
I mean, I agree with that. I guess from a legal perspective,
Yeah.
I would suspect that a lot of these folks are going to be quite angry with us.
Yeah.
And are going to be looking for, because we're going to be looking for, I don't know what all of them will, if we go back 6 years for all of the people that haven't paid anything. How many do we have on that list, Lisa, approximately?
For grinder pumps, I have, okay, well, let me ask you this first. So, Cohasset Lightkeepers Association, that's the harbor master, yes?
No.
That's the building up on the hill.
Oh, so it's not, okay. Okay, so we have,
There are some places that I think we don't charge. I don't think we charge Sandy Beach, and of course they're only open, what, 3.5, 4 months?
Yeah, there's the ballpark too on North Main.
Yeah.
so I have about 8 maybe, based on that last email that I sent.
Okay. Before the next meeting, can you put together basically on what we haven't been charging them and give us an idea of what the number would be? Because it may not be as high as what I was thinking.
The Lightkeepers residence, though, was a situation where they were being charged for it as if they thought they were connected to sewer for 10 years and they were paying the bill. And then the town finally appropriated the money, and we came up with a solution to get it there, fairly reasonable.
Really?
Yeah, and so I don't know whether.
That was nice of them.
Huh?
That was nice of them.
Yeah, but nobody knew until something happened. The cesspool overflowed or something, and
Yeah.
we had.
Rod, have you had experience doing this before? I mean, have you seen other towns do this and know is there a better way to approach this versus other ways, or?
I have not done it. I talked to Paul, and his brief comment was, yes, people get angry. He'd never seen somebody go back, the full contract period, but 6 months, 12 months is done, but it's not pleasant. I have to take this opportunity to drop some first-year law student Latin on you. The legal principle here is called quantum meruit, and it's even if you don't have a written contract, if you provide goods or services and the other party takes advantage of them, they owe a reasonable amount for that. So so yes, under black letter law, we have this right, but as a practical matter, it's a judgment how far you go.
Yeah, I don't know, Wayne, what you think about it. I would say, if we're going to do something like this, rather than do, 100% go back 6 years, maybe do 2 years or something like that, and tell them that's what we have the right to go back 6 years. If you want us to, we can, but two's probably a reasonable number, given the fact that they've had benefit of the services of the town for 6 years.
And perhaps longer than that. We just can't reach back longer.
Oh, right. You're right.
But just to help Lisa out, you want to go through them real quick, just to see what you want to do?
Yeah.
As far as Sandy Beach?
Yeah, I think there are some of these I don't think we're not going to charge. I don't think Sandy Beach, just because I don't think they probably have a whole lot of usage to begin with. And they're not, and they're not a full-time customer. And we can go through them if we want. I've got a 11:30 Zoom that just popped up on me, and I do want to talk budgets for a bit as well. So Yeah, Lisa, if you want to list them off, see what we can,
On 94 Border Street, the Cohasset Lightkeepers Association.
yeah. And I think also for purposes of this meeting, I'd give addresses rather than when we get to residents' names.
Mhm.
Just in case we made a mistake, I don't want to set fire to the,
Okay, just the addresses. Okay.
yeah. Well, places like the Lightkeeper's House or Sandy Beach, that's one thing, but the residences, I don't want to,
Yeah.
I don't want them storming the sewer plant.
That's the,
Now, the light keepers, I'd like to find out if, and I don't know if we have records that go back to when they didn't have sewer, to when they did have sewer. You know, and I would imagine that because of the two residences, they're going to have a certain amount of usage, you know, all the time,
Mhm.
you know, year round for that. So, and I don't think, I guess I'm sort of leaning towards, let's go back 12 months and then let's sort things out and have less problems of when did you put it in, when did you not pay, when, you know, for each of the people in terms of how long have they been on sewer, unless we have that information already.
Yeah, I would think that we have to tell them that they've been on sewer for, you know, when they were connected. We should have a hard and fast date of when they were connected to sewer, or at least a range of, you know, we may not have the date, we might have the week or the month or something to that effect. Because they're gonna want, you know, they're gonna want to know.
Right, anybody wants to know. So, all right, now do you have the sailing club on your list?
No.
I don't know if they're actually being billed either.
Yeah, and I think that's very seasonal too. So the usage there is minimal.
Yeah.
And to a certain degree, something like the sailing club is almost a public convenience in the summertime, because anybody could go in, any resident could go in. So it's not really a single entity's sewage that's going in, or
They're not on the list though, are they?
no, but they have sewer.
Yeah, I know they have sewer because I was on the.
Yeah, I
when
think,
they were-
Lisa should just verify that with Brenda.
Yeah.
Sure.
If the sailing club is being charged.
And like I say, I don't necessarily think they should have to pay because of the seasonality and everything about
I'd
it.
agree.
But we just should have them as a customer with a no charge type of thing.
Yeah, just, I don't know if this is clarifying anything, but Lightkeepers, Sailing Club, and the Harbor Masters building all flow down the hill to that bottom of the circle to I think a grinder pump that ejects it back out to the street. So it's not, anyway, that's the flow dynamic of that area.
Well,
Pretty sure.
one
Lightkeeper
thing,
has a room, don't they?
the Lightkeepers does have a grinder pump,
Yeah.
and it goes into the line that's the pressured line. And you're right about the Harbor Masters is gravity down to the other one and coming back up again. So that's combined, a combined flow. So, and I don't know if they have water meters in the Harbor Masters building.
No idea.
Yeah. So in other words, I don't know if it's, but you're right. So I think those three should all be public connections.
That's fine. That's fine with me.
Okay. Next.
97 Border Street,
Is it a residence or what?
residents. And Scott and I did a field visit a couple of months ago, and I believe they have a grinder pump inside.
Inside the house?
Inside, yes. Inside the house.
Is that a new house? Or no? One house, they tore a house down and built a new house, and I don't know if that's the area of that.
It is. It's like 3 down from the bridge, 3 or 4 down from the bridge. You know, on the Gulf side. So if going towards Situate,
Oh, so over the bridge then.
it's over the bridge. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Almost by Parker Avenue then, huh?
Yes.
Okay. I think they should be built.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
137 Hull Street. This is another one, Brian and I and Scott and I did a field visit. We couldn't tell whether or not they had a grinder pump.
I'm pretty sure that's on gravity. That was on the original markup list we had.
Right, that's what we were
The
thinking.
gravity
that-
service.
So Scott was gonna pull the manhole cover to see if they were actually connected to sewer, because they're not being billed either for sewer usage.
And I did pull that manhole cover, Lisa, this morning, and there's really nothing. It's really nothing to see in there to determine that there's a pipe coming from the house going straight to that manhole or not.
Hmm.
It would probably be on the service line anyways. I mean,
I would think so too, but we figured we'd at least open it up and look just to make sure, because everybody and house on each side of them has grinder pumps, but that house does not for whatever reason.
Do they
Like
have a septic system that the Board of Health would be able to tell us they have?
We have the file upstairs, so that would indicate that they were connected to sewer.
Huh.
So there's nothing that I can tell.
So is this, they're not getting charged at all for any user fees either?
Correct.
If it's a gravity thing, they wouldn't have the user fee, would they?
Well, they wouldn't have the grinder pump fee, but they'd have a user fee based upon water consumption.
Right.
Oh, okay. In the monthly and then the usage.
Yeah, whatever.
I think we bill them and see what happens.
Yeah, that's one way of finding out whether they have it or not.
Lisa, was that the residence that seemed uninhabited, had a
Yes.
newer foundation? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think it looks like they probably have a gravity feed. They may have had a grinder pump previously. I don't know if it was a new construction or if it was a tear down and rebuild, but it looks like they, with the new foundation, that they have the pitch to get gravity to the street.
I think it was always a gravity fee.
I think it's worth a phone call to the people, telling them what we're doing before they get the bill, even just to see what the reaction is, or, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea, yeah.
It's
And then
unoccupied. You may want to just send it to the tax record, a little letter or something.
Didn't look like anybody lived there. I don't know if that's the case.
There is a name associated with the property.
Mhm.
It's a familiar last name.
Yeah,
Italian last name? Italian?
Quite Irish.
All right. Next.
Okay, well, actually, before we move on for that, so that, so if what do you want me to do with this? Do you want me to try to send a letter, try to call them, or just have Brenda send them a bill? And then what do we do for past usage?
I think that we're gonna, once we make a decision on how far back we go, I think that the commissioners should send a letter, that's something Rod puts together for us and just said, this is what's going on. You're because a lot of people are gonna say, well, nobody told me, I see scenarios where if say we put it in 2010 and these people, the current residents bought it in 2015, they're gonna say, well, nobody told us. So we should have some history as to when the connection was made, or at least as much as we possibly can. And again, it baffles me that it baffles me that we haven't been billing them, only because that should have come out of the water department, right? I mean, somebody, if you see my drift on it.
That's an Aquarian system. So there's a little bit of a,
Disconnect.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Because of Zoom and stuff, we could have everybody, each one of them have an appointment to call, and we're going to tell them what's happening, or do something like that, even, in terms of if you want questions answered in a decent, format. Or like I say, it's just communications that have to go on. So it's not I just got this bill in the mail for that. What the heck is going on? And some people might not even know whether they have sewer, public sewer, or a cesspool or septic system or whatever.
Well, I mean, I think you're right in some cases, but I think that, people know they have that green or olive colored pie in their front or backyard. I mean, they gotta wonder what that thing is. You would
I,
think.
I would
Sure.
advise at some point early on a letter just outlining the situation and our position, so that that's clear. Then you can discuss.
And if you'd
but I
like
think-
to appeal it or something like that, you know, in other words, this is what we're going to do. We want you to be aware of it. And if you have questions or concerns or anything like that, you know,
So,
let them start their case.
yeah, so Lisa, are all of these residences, other than like the Sailing Club and Harbor Master's office, are they getting bills for water? Do you know?
I believe the rest of them are, but I don't know for sure.
Could you ask Brenda to confirm that?
Yes.
Because then the question is, how come we're not billing for sewer? So somebody, you know, it's not that I'm looking for you know, somebody to point a finger at. I'm just trying to figure out if we've dropped something in the process somewhere. There's, you know, it's something we can fix, because it sounds to me that certainly somebody from the sewer department over the ages did not inform the water department that person A or person B has been hooked up to sewer, either gravity or a grinder pump.
Yeah, and I think that was the last one that was not paying for sewer that I have, other than 51, which we'll talk about, the 51 Jerusalem Road, Mr.
Yes.
So, okay, so moving on from there, we have 792 Jerusalem Road. So they have, as per Dan's original list, they had 2 grinder pumps, one to the garage, one to the house. They are only paying 1 grinder pump fee, but with a phone call from the resident, oh wait, was that the one? I believe with a phone, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm talking about a different one. Never mind, sorry, this is a different one. 790 Jerusalem Road, they're not paying a grinder pump fee and they're not paying for sewer services.
I'm pretty sure that was a newer home, and I think they paid for their own grinder pump, so they're not a town-owned grinder pump. But they should be paying a user fee.
Yeah.
So whenever they got connected up is when they should have been activated for payment of user fees.
Okay. Okay, I'll check that. 50 Lantern Lane and
50 and 60 are both gravity. So
okay,
there's a grinder pump fee there. But obviously they should be paying user fees.
they are. And then the ballpark was the next one, so we know about that. And then 4 Otis Avenue.
Or Otis, again, was originally the original betterment. So they were built as part of the original system for Central. I think they ended up replacing their pump at some point in time. I'm not sure if that was a town replacement. So in theory, if they bought and replaced their pump themselves, it's no longer a town grinder pump. So that's the only thing I couldn't find out, and that was on my original list.
I couldn't find that out either based on the records.
Says it was connected after the fact, so it was connected on 5/2/19. At least that was one of the records you had given me.
2019?
Connected in May of 2019. But I have it listed as one of the original constructions and original betterments. So I think that was maybe it could have been a demo and a
It
rebuild.
was tear down in that area. I think it's
Yeah.
both.
And maybe they bought the pump themselves, so they're no longer a town grinder, but I don't have anything that would document that.
Yeah, but they should be paying for sewer fees.
Right.
Sewer
Yeah.
usage.
They are.
They are.
Okay.
And Lisa, did you want to talk about 51 Jerusalem Road?
Yep, 51, and then that other one too, I had mentioned, the 5, it's 572.
Okay.
So 51 Jerusalem Road. We couldn't, Scott and I did a field visit there as well. Couldn't determine whether or not they were on sewer, but the file indicates that they are, because the file actually has 2 applications, one that sort of went nowhere. And then the second application, I believe it was part of, is it Little Harbor, the Little Harbor?
Yeah, they would have been done during the Little Harbor piece.
So it looked like they went through Old Colony Financial Services to fund their connection, because there were a couple of checks that are in the file. It got brought back up to the Treasurer's Department because Old Colony was cleaning up their records, and it sort of went to a dead end where they weren't paying. They didn't pay their debt. So as a result, based on that email from Paula Linares in the Treasurer's Department, they put a lien on a tax lien.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know.
Well, that's the penalty for not connecting, right? The $100 a day or whatever it was.
I think they are connected though. And if they are connected, they're not paying the sewer use.
So, but with the tax lien has to be coming out of this, that they never paid the betterment, right? It's probably what they funded.
No, they probably funded the actual construction of the pipe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But now there's something that's sort of interesting here, is that if it's put on their bill and they don't pay the bill and then they go to sell the house, that should be an automatic lien when you're looking for a municipal lien certificate of a non, an outstanding debt to the sewer department of the town of Cohasset. So in fact, we may have more standing in getting some of this money collected. If it is, in other words, we might not be around when they sell the house and a buyer pays, the seller pays for it, but
They've not
can
paid
result in a lien.
Have they had any communications with the residents, do you know?
Well, they sent the letter. That was it. That's all I know. I don't know if they heard back from them or not.
Okay.
Just 2 questions. Was the lien for sewer charges, backdated sewer charges, or was it for something else?
It was for the sewer connection, I believe, or maybe the,
It was non-payment of the loan that was supposedly used to put it in.
Right, right. So we can actually bill them for back sewer charges, right?
It's the only other question I had is, has it been confirmed that they're connected and not have it, they don't have a cesspool? Because they may just still have the cesspool. It looks like it may have, when we had talked about it, I just looked at the file briefly and it looked like Rosano Davis may have been contracted, but never did the installation.
there were a couple of checks that went to Rosanna Davis though, in payment of.
Yeah, but they might have fixed the Title V. It was the 51.
So
Was 51 Jerusalem in the Little Harbor district, or is it outside of it?
Oh, it's right in it. It's right. It's right. If you come out of Redgate, at the intersection of Redgate and Jerusalem Road, their house is just on the left.
So it
Across
flows
the
down
street.
into that meadow, basically, right
Oh, so the
there.
outside of the other side of the street. So they
Yeah,
should
yeah.
have sewer. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
as an environmental thing.
I mean, they should have gotten a $28,000 betterment assessment. Is that what the lien is for? You know?
I think
Yeah,
it's
let me
7,000.
pull it up. So it's for a Title V betterment. That's what the lien is for. He's been notified by the assessor's office and has also received his real estate tax bill with the added lien on it.
And how much is the lien?
Pardon me?
How much is it?
I don't know if I have that. Old Colony Planning Council will also reach out to him with more paperwork from their end. And then I asked about who benefits.
Yeah, I saw, yeah, we don't.
And yeah, she said the town borrows the money to lend to the resident and then pays it back.
Okay, yeah, so that's a connection, and that's really through the Board of Health. Who will
So
orchestrate it.
I asked Paula what the betterment was. It's 7,844.
So it sounds like they received the money for the connection. I would assume they implemented the connection.
That's the question. I think that needs to be answered still. They might be still discharging in that, whatever that meadow is there.
Yeah, and I know I saw an email coming back and forth on this, that probably in November, that there was $100 charge per day for not connecting, something to that effect.
That was when we were trying to wrap things up for the state, in the Little Harbor District.
Yeah.
Started applying a fee to the properties if they were not connecting in a timely fashion.
So, right, I don't think that's just 7,000. I think if you assign that penalty that the sewer commission defined in that letter, I think the penalty would be like $150,000 or something.
Yeah, it was a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
So I guess the question of the day is, how do we confirm whether they're actually using sewer and whether they've connected to the town sewer or not?
Best thing is a field check to see if you find a grinder pump.
Yep. Scott, have you been out there?
Yeah, Lisa, that's the one that house on a cliff, basically. Yeah, we walked that whole property. I could not find a grinder pump. That's not to say it's not buried under something, or maybe they have an in-home system. But we did, Lisa and I went around that, couldn't find one anywhere.
So who was the actual installer of the grinder pumps of Little Harbor?
Whoever they hired.
Whoever they hired. I mean, what if we call Rosano Davis and say, hey, did you guys do 51 and where did you put it?
Well, I mean, if there was a service being done, you should have a service application for the property. So we should know who the actual installer is. It should have been an application that was filled out.
You have a file folder, right, Lisa?
I do, and I believe it was Rosano Davis. And
So let's call him and see if he put it.
Was there an as-built?
Yeah. See where they put it.
Yeah, they were probably the better ones as far as submitting as-bills. We ever have an as-built in the file too?
no,
No.
Was there a test done? And no other
I
documentation?
don't think so in the file.
And wouldn't you have to have like a connection test to make sure that it works?
A startup, there should have been
Yeah.
like a grinder pump startup thing.
Yep.
And so the supplier of the grinder comes, may have documentation for that address too.
Hmm.
When I get in this afternoon, I'll recheck the file for any other documentation.
All right.
Okay, next.
So I think it's 572 Jerusalem Road. Why can't? So this is the one that Dan had on the original list as having 2 grinder pumps. And a call with the resident last week, she said that she did have, she believes she has 2 grinder pumps, one for the garage and one for the house. She's only paying 1 grinder pump fee. She said the garage was never connected. She said she doesn't have water going to the garage at all. So that being said, what do you do in this case as far as it being a town-owned grinder pump if she never connected it?
Oh,
I mean,
Good one on that.
again, I'd try to verify that. She's volunteering the information. She'd be able to go on there and see if there's water. you know, it's not being used. It was still installed as part of the town, but if it's non-functional at this point in time, well, it's up to you.
So who could do that?
Who could do what? I'm just wondering if any of these situations we're talking about now, whether or not when they get this package, you know, it's like, there are so many questions to answer.
Yeah, but to Rod's point, they've been benefiting from sewer. So at the very least, they should be paying the processing charges for it. With the exceptions that we've already listed, so.
And is our list checked off from Rosano Davis's construction list in terms of doing the work of replacing them? And, you know, for the lady that has two, did they happen to get replaced, or are they still using the one they have? And the one they have is 10 years old, and therefore we didn't replace it.
I guess we'd have to do like a site inspection of it.
Lisa, what was the address again?
572 Jerusalem Road.
We're running out of time here with,
Yeah, I can push my call up for a few minutes, but I have to.
I don't know whether we might want to just meet next Tuesday and get just for the budget period.
I think, well, we're thinking I was gonna say the same thing. But I also, Lisa, was gonna ask, on the sheet that they gave us, the town of Cohasset, the sort of revenues and expenditures for the sewer enterprise fund. Do they have enough information that they can give us till the end of the year? Because this stops at November.
I don't understand the question, I'm sorry.
So we got a list, we got a budget to actual for fiscal year of 21 that ended in November. Do we have any more further information that we can get something that gives us end of the 6-month period?
I
think so.
572, both grinder pumps were upgraded.
Even though one of them wasn't connected to water. How could that happen? Just be an easy install, huh? Take out something that's brand new and that hasn't been used and put another one in that hasn't been used.
That's a big question. I mean, it could be full of water at some point in time. I don't know, but you'd think you'd notice.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or maybe it was being used. I mean, that's probably easy enough. You can go to the grinder pump unit, pop the cover and see if there's wastewater in it.
Right. And if it's sparkly clean.
Or dry.
Or dry. Oh, yeah. I think that would be smart.
Is that something you could do, Scott? 572? Just pop the cover on the garage?
Yes, depending on the type. Now, if it got upgraded to the E1,
You did.
yes, I can at least go out there and look. Some of them have the false bottom that you can't really see. You know, that's the original E1s. If this is just a converted E1, then we
Should
should,
be just a conversion.
all right, so we should still be able to see right in. And yeah, I can take a ride by and pop the, now she supposedly has two.
Yeah, there's one near the house and one near the garage.
All right. Yeah, I can go take a look and see if, I mean, you're right. You'll know right away. You open it up, it's either going to be water in it or it's going to be sewer in it. So
So it's just the garage one.
this is the garage one. All right, I can let you know by the end of today on that. Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
And Lisa, are you confused by my request?
I'm sorry.
It's all right. So what we have here on both the sort of horizontal, or the vertical budget to actual for the sewer enterprise fund is they only go till the 30th of November,
Right.
2020. Can we get one that goes to the end of the calendar year?
Okay.
So that we know, because right now we're showing like 57% of our budget being spent in that 6 months. So it would be good to know what exactly we spent in the 6 months so we can prognosticate the next chunk of stuff.
Okay, so
right.
just fiscal year, the end of the fiscal year.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, the end of 2020, the end of December 2020. Yeah, calendar year.
Calendar year. Oh, okay. Calendar year.
Just gives us a 6-month numbers, which is,
I gotcha. Okay.
And then, and to Wayne's point, maybe we see if we could have a meeting, like with just Wayne and I and Don, or yourself, Lisa, just to go over the budgets.
on the 19th.
Whatever day, yeah, next week, whatever works for them.
Yeah, right. But it has to be
Well, we have to post it maybe like this week, but if we could, for next week, we could, whatever day works for them. I don't know,
Okay.
Maybe we can finish up the list too, Lisa, and maybe Wayne can hang around too after the meeting. And we just go through the other numbers that you have.
Mhm.
Yeah, see, I don't know if we can we have to have a quorum, right?
Only to make a decision.
I don't know.
Bill, if you're going off the call,
You end the meeting.
Right, but can you guys stay on it?
sure.
Yeah, once you have to end the meeing, and then we can just stay on and discuss.
Okay,
it.
fine, that's fine. All right, so I'll make a motion to end this session. Wayne,
Second,
you agree? Right. Okay, I'm gonna leave and thank you, everybody, and I'll see you soon, Wayne, on another channel. All right, see you later, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Hi, Rob.